Hello? Hi guys. How's the music volume? Hopefully everybody's having a good day. Let's see. Okay. Thank you for making it. Welcome. You know, in theory, I feel like drawing buildings are supposed to be like simple, quote, I guess, but like, you know, as we all know, in execution is quite different. So hopefully some of these, like, we'll just go over this slowly, you know, together. Like, don't worry guys, we'll do this like together. We'll do this hand in hand, and we, you know, no matter how hard it gets, you're not alone. We will get through this together. So apologies. So I think like the issue, I think with like, I think the title, like the thumbnail, the title card is like cities, right? Personally, I think that's even like less fun to draw. I'll go over it, but then after, I guess we'll just go over like simple buildings, hopefully like you know, like houses and things like that, because I think that's a little more interesting, and it might help you guys like understand it a little bit better, but like we'll just go over it. So let's see. Okay, so architecture is pretty cool. I think it's really interesting. Like, I guess that's why I prefer like more medieval or like older kinds of house, like, you know, architecture, because they have a lot more like personality, I feel like. Because see, so why did I put this random stock photo here? Because I think the issue with like generally start like approaching these sorts of things is like what the heck is this? Because like forget that it's blurry, but like I feel like even if we like, you know, if you don't know how to draw something, usually you'll look up reference, right? But most pictures of cities and stuff like that are like, they look like this, right? It's like, what the hell, like what the heck what the heck is like going on here, right? There's like you know, there's like shapes, like we think these are buildings, and there's like a heck ton of windows, but then there's also reflections of other buildings in these windows, and then there's roads and things like that, and then like not to mention all this stuff in the back. It's like, it's really hard to like digest, and on top of that, I think a lot of them also tend to be like really like far away, so like they tend to be, for example, like something like this, like really like cityscapes, right? Like, so you're pretty far away from the actual from the city, like from the buildings themselves, so you kind of have to like, even if you really squint, it's like, dang, look at all this, like all these like windows and details you have to like contend with. So I think that's why it tends to be really intimidating, like approaching this stuff, but that's why we will start simple. For the most part, I'm sure you've all heard it all before, but everything tends to just start with like, you know, a simple shape. So, I mean, I guess I'll just keep this up here as like reference. It's like, this might be really like intimidating. So, but really like if you take out any one of these like buildings here, like never mind all like the subtle like shapes and stuff, they're mainly just like, you know, pretend I'm drawing straight lines. They're just like rectangles, right? And if you want to simplify this further, like, you know, they could be just like, they're just a bunch of blocks stacked on top of each other. So I think this is a lot more easy to approach, right? Although, let's see. So cityscapes. I think I will retype all of this like afterwards, just so like you guys aren't stuck with like my horrendous writing. Detailed, intimidating, difficult. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to work hard. I want to work smart. So I will just, you know, we'll simplify to make this a bit easier on ourselves. Okay, so you might be like, yes, we understand. Very basics, like squares, everything's made out of squares. How's it supposed to help us, like, figure out how to, like, how do we go back to this using just, like, one rectangle, one square, things like that? So, and, like, and what if, like, the CN Tower, that's not the CN Tower, but it reminded me of it. Is this the CN Tower? It's not the CN Tower. So anyways, and, like, but look, like, they're not all, like, squares. They're, like, some of them are, like, they have, like, funky looking, like, rooftops, like, some of them, like, are shaped like this. Some of them have, like, little domes. That's kind of hard to draw. Well, don't worry, because if, like, once you finish drawing these sorts of buildings, you have your base, these simple shapes. Then you can just go in and start refining them. Like, for example, we want, like, pretend this is a dome, like it has a dome. So then you can kind of cut a part of it, like, into, like, this is the bottom area, right? And then this is probably the top of, like, the dome. Usually in the middle, you can find that, of course, with the little perspective trick, sort of. Not really a perspective trick, but, like, if you, like, want to find the center of a surface of any square, in, like, whatever angle, you just go from one corner to the other, and then go another corner from the other, and then you'll find, like the center. That's, like, the mathematical thing, like, mathematically, that is where the center is. I know I'm talking about math, so that's just, like, everybody's just, like, their eyes glaze over, so I won't talk about it too much. But yeah, and then you'll just draw, like, this, like, vague dome shape. And you can, like, kind of go in and make it a little bit more, like, strengthen out the form a little bit. If you want to go, like, super... if you want to be, like, super, like, constructive with it, yes, geometry, exactly. But you don't have, like, so even though I'm going, like, so, like, like, center, and then, like, you want to draw, like, the circle of, like, which is, like, the dome base, and then, like, this is how you draw, like, a perfect circle and like, an ellipse in any angle. Because if you do it, like, even if you're, like, it's forward facing, this sort of thing will still, like, be correct. So this is, like, the extremely, like, brain hurty, like, mathematical way to do it. But I don't think it's necessary to, like, go this hard, really. And then you have, like, your little dome, and then, like, basically out of the point is, out of all these simple shapes, all you're really doing is, like, sort of cutting off and putting things together, like, it's as if you're in, like, I don't know if you ever opened a 3D modeling program, but actually, you know what? Maybe it would be easier if I did that. So, like, if I open Blender, which is, like, just a free 3D model program, so, like, you see this. Okay, I know this. Looking at all of this is like, holy crap! What the heck are you showing me, right? Don't worry. This is, like, the basic point that I'm just trying to make here. Is, like, you have your little box here, and then everything ever is just, like, do I even remember how to use, like, basically everything is just box like this, like, stacked on top of each other in various ways. Like, so basically, you just think of it like buildings, just like that. And you know how, like, some parts are, like, kind of sticking out, sticking in, things like that. That's basically what you're doing when you're trying to, like, design your buildings or whatever. Anyways, I know that was horrible. I'm sorry. I won't show you guys again, but yeah. So, what do I mean by that? Basically, like, because some of these, like, buildings here, if we're gonna be, like, observational about it, they like this one, it's basically just like, you know, like some sort of rectangle, and then maybe like the sides are like kind of lopped off. Like that, sort of. Usually, like, I think the main difficulty of like these sorts of like drawing buildings, even like right now, is just the fact that it's like very geometrical. So drawing straight lines and like very precise lines and stuff is hard for like humans in general, I think. So like when we draw them, it's just like, you know, it just doesn't look right sometimes because like it's really hard to do like straight lines. Oops. But it's okay because we have line tools, so that's how we can that's how we can like figure it out. So as you can see, it has like a lot of little like protrusions and stuff. Like, actually, I think it would be more like, if we go back to this one at least, like you would just take like your base and then just like add things to it, basically. Like this one, for example, has like, it looks like it has this sort of thing to it. But of course, you know, most reference is like difficult to see just because it's so far away. So I recommend like if you can find like just like simple like one-on-one buildings, things. And like I guess I will talk about perspective since that's like pretty important about it. But I feel like most tutorials when you like Google buildings and stuff will tend to be like, you know, like first this is your piece of paper, you do like a horizon line, then you do all of this stuff, right? Your grids. And then like then you draw in like your buildings to like sort of to make like your cityscape and everything. Which is fine. I will probably extend that a little bit. Like the so, you know, this would be like your horizon line. And remember, I'm sure you guys like have heard it before, but basically everything on top up here in this area is above us, above you or the camera, and then here is below. And then it's like, well, how does this like help us? How do like, well, because if something is on top of the horizon line, then you'll see like if it is like, say like an object, like I guess it doesn't apply too much for like, since we're like drawing buildings, but like for example, for whatever reason, if this was like I guess if our like, you know, like this, so if our building has like this like the CN Tower or something, it has like this like disc kind of sticking out of it, then you would see the bottom of this disc, which means when you're in the top area, you don't see the tops of buildings. So you wouldn't see like the roof, I guess. And then like if there's like shorter buildings, like a little house or something, then you would see like the top on the bottom. So you see the tops. And like this, you know, I have a perfectly good like image here, which I probably should have used. But basically, so like the horizon in this one is here. So as you can see though, things on the bottom, you can see like the roof like tops sort of. It's like really because this is taken at such a far distance, the vanishing points are probably like way over here or something, right? And as a result, or even farther, it's probably like going like super far. So as a result, everything is really flat. So when you see images like this, when things tend to be pretty flat, it usually means it's just really far back in the distance. As a result, things tend to be a little there's less perspective. So I guess that is something you guys might be interested in noting, I guess, where, for example, in our cityscape, we have our front buildings, and then at some point we have to draw the little buildings in the back, right? Those ones, the buildings in the super far back tend to not have much perspective at all, just because it's so far in the background. So yeah, everything tends to blend together. So I'll just write that down. So this is below eye level, below you, above you. However, the farther something is, the flatter the distance will actually lose you perspective. Anyways, let me see if I can draw this a little bit in a more manageable way. Okay, so for example, the point I'm trying to make, we have our base. The reason I'm not using the line tool is generally just because I don't want to I feel like I've got to make a lot of mistakes just because it's like I said, humans aren't very good at drawing straight lines without a lot of practice. So since we're just making something, I'm going to go with it. Oh no! It might be my internet. I don't really know what's been going on. It has been kind of snippy lately. But I'll do my best. Hopefully the recording there's a recording, so it won't be too too much loss, I guess. So we have our base. And then from our base, we just want to add stuff on. Just adding on different shapes of the building, whatever fits your reference a little. Or I guess a little trick for keeping your perspective, eyeballing your perspective, is that make sure your lines are these lines are parallel. So everything here will be parallel as well. And the same here, so like everything is going to be like somewhat parallel. And then that should, like, you know, kind of keep you on track for our purposes. So we have that, and then this seems like it has this sort of like balcony thing. And then I think the hard stuff tends to come from like just how many like lines they're going to be, and like little bits and edges that are going to be like you have to pay attention to. Something like that, and then usually there's like some sort of like rim. Hello. I'll put like, if the internet is super bad, I'll like make a note of that and see what's going on. I feel like it's been pretty like not very good for like games too. Like I think it's usually fine in like when I like talk to people like through voice calling and stuff. But lately for like games and things, it's just been crashing a lot, which has been a bit unfortunate. So maybe, I don't know, some sort of like connection issue. And then this has a dome, so we have like a dome. I'll note a little perspective trick here. Then usually this might be a bit dry, but the next one I think I'll do like a cute little house, like a fantasy house, because those ones are like my favorite things to draw. Another thing that makes I think drawing like modern day buildings pretty hard is just the just because they're so like sterile looking. You know, like they're just very like minimalistic and not a lot of, there's a lot of, you know, it's like very shiny, but like not a lot of like prettiness. You know what I mean? Whoops. Okay. Sorry about that. My cat was clawing at the door. Okay, so. You might be looking at this and be like, okay, well, a lot of shapes. And then usually what I like to do for like windows or whatever, because, you know, on top of like, I have like all these, like, as you can see, I didn't like just find these like before like the stream or whatever. I just have these because I really don't like drawing like these sorts of like things because it just takes too much time, right? So what I usually do is like I have a brush or whatever that will like generally make all of these like window shapes for me. So what I do is I'll just like use that and then I don't know, draw some like windows. And it's fine if they're like kind of wonky or whatever. And then usually what I'll do is, you know, something like, it's pretty messy, but you know, you get your shapes and then you just kind of skew the perspective a bit to like match the building. We'll see if this like, be something like, something like that, you know, and then just on. Like so, this is not the correct perspective, but whatever. But I know about a lot of you guys probably don't have like, you know, all these like detail stuff. So what you can do is like, besides like finding them is, you know, you just make your little, take like a block of color that you want your windows to be, like so. And then just kind of like I just used like a big brush or whatever, and then followed like the perspective, but just like in this case it's just like that, just so I don't have to worry about it. And then you can use like your line tool or whatever, or just like your regular brush. And then I'm holding shift to make like the super straight lines. And then if you use like a small enough eraser, or like over here in your like color wheel, I am using Clip Studio, so you may not have this function. Most programs should have it, but there's like this little transparent box thing, so that if I have this like this box, the color selected, I can draw in blue, but then if I press this little transparent checker box thing, then it will become like an eraser basically. So that will save you time, like if you need to find something that like matches your eraser shape, like your textures and stuff. But anyways, if I like, you know, if I have that, then I'll probably just use like, might be too thick, just a really thin like, you know, brush size, and then just go in manually and like and just go through all like the, you know, the tedium of making your windows. This is a little bit you know, not perfect, but you know, something like this. And I'm sure like if you were a bit more careful with it than like I was, it would be like a little bit neater. And then you can kind of just like go around with it. And then like, for example, if you lock transparency or opacity, then like, I don't know, my fill tool settings aren't great either at the moment. But yeah, but then you can just go in and like, you know, plop in with like the different like lights and stuff to see what's on and things like that. Hopefully that's like, you know, that makes sense. Hopefully. Oh yeah, I can draw a treehouse. That's like way funner. Like that's way more fun, I think, and like exciting than like drawing these sorts of buildings. I guess I'm just going through this. I don't know if that was like the best plan of action, but I'm just going through this because this I feel like is the most difficult one. But drawing things like tree houses and like personally like things like medieval houses, like taverns and things like that, are way easier than like this sort of stuff. Because this stuff is just like, it's just time consuming, I feel like, you know? Like from here on out, this is like your base, right? So after this, all you want to do is just like add, like go in and like just like zoom in like super far in, and then just add like you know, lower the opacity and then add like super like, oops. Just add like super, like minuscule details, you know, like. And then at this point, it's just time. A lot of drawing, to be honest, and like background art, I think is just having a good plan, a good foundation, like a good base, and then just after that, just being like, all right, like my boxes are in place, just gonna go in and just like slowly add details for like the next 17 hours. And then like, you know, adding bricks and stuff, like, so if these are like, I guess I'll go over like brick textures in this later when we're doing like the houses and stuff. Have you ever used 3D software to make buildings? No, but only because like I'm not that good with like 3D software. Like y'all saw me struggle like with just like trying to remember like basic Blender functions. I'm trying to learn it so I can make buildings with 3D modeling, because I think it just saves so much time, because it's not that difficult theoretically, because then all you really need is like the shape, right? Like you can draw in all this like stuff later, like I don't know, this like, I'm sure these things have like words that it will also help you to like remember, like the trim or something. And then you know, then you just go in and like add everything like bit by bit. Like maybe this might actually be like lower, like less of this like slope. Although we can make it a bit more interesting and have like a roof or something. And then like, you know, you can go even more detailed and add like, you know, the, I don't know what these are, lightning poles? That's what I assume they are for. You know, things like that. But yeah, I'll try to like finish this up in like afterward, but don't want to be take too long with these things. But yeah, so the same thing pretty much follows for like houses and stuff, for like cute little like medieval houses, where that art tool specifically is hard for me to understand. Which one? The transparency or like using all the brushes and stuff? So like, for example, if we want to draw like like a cute house, no? I feel like old, like more organic looking kind of buildings, like tree houses and like medieval houses or whatever, you don't have to get the perspective like 100% perfect, because they were made in like a time where, you know, they're like, you know, they're made of like wood that warps and plaster that might like kind of, that isn't like completely 100% smooth, and like cut stone that isn't 100% cut, like things like that. So they have a little like edge to it. So what you can do is just like, you know, just build like, you know, a bunch of like little cubes, and like this is like maybe a bigger cube behind it. And like, you know, the perspective isn't like 100%, but like good enough. And then like, you know, you have your house, like they usually have something like, you know, like a roof. I know, very like rudimentary, but yeah, something like this. And then I feel like the funnest part of these things is just like the detail part, like Whereas like for these things, I feel like it's a bit tedious for me when you're doing it for like these sorts of like funner kinds of houses. It's like a little more entertaining for me. So like, you start with your base. And then you can kind of go in and add like, if you have like reference and stuff, add details and stuff. But like, I feel like medieval houses, older houses just tend to have a bit more like chunkier, like they're chunkier, like the details. So it's cute. It's like, like, so this is like a window. Just make sure you follow like the bottom of the window is like parallel to the bottom of the house so that you can kind of figure out, so that it doesn't just look kind of like odd, just painted on like that. Same with like these sides. They're a little curved, but if you keep it generally like facing the same as like the buildings, like your base, it will look more or less like okay. And then, sorry if I'm like flying around everywhere. It's just like so cute, right? Like, then you can add little like little windowsills with like maybe flowers. And like this is like your sketch, so it doesn't have to like you also don't have to get like the super clean line art stuff later, because all of that is just like extra time that you want to spend if you want to. And then like, like, oops. And then like they have really chunky like windowsills or whatever. And then like for the roofs, or rooftops, I'm sure they have a word for it. They're like super cute and chunky. So you can think of like almost like gingerbread houses. They're like doll houses kind of, which I think is also an excellent reference for like if you're like, thinking about it. And then there's like, because it's like fantasy, you can also do like the roof shingles or whatever. So cute. Like they add so much more like, like texture to things that I just find really a lot cuter. And then usually they might have, that's probably for like more like cabin stuff, but make sure you like when you're drawing in like rooftops and things to have like a strong sense of form. So like you'll see like the bottom, sort of like so. And like the roof itself has like a really thick edge, so that you can't mistake it as part of like, it won't blend into like the walls of this house. Things like that, And like, I don't know, wooden beams. I guess you do kind of have to have like a sort of basic, like you'll just have to have like either you observe houses a lot, or you'll just like have your references of like cute things, cute house details. And then maybe there's like another window up here or something. And then like the design can look like whatever you want. Then I might add like an extra sort of chunky like window like bar. I know, my terminology is a bit interesting. Then you just go in and add your like details. For like, I'm gonna lower this window just a little bit. For like bricks and stuff, like the textures, sometimes you don't know what you're looking for, but I feel like that tends to look busy. So for the most part, all you really need, like, I am a proponent of like less is more. So like you can usually just do like some sort of like vague brick pattern in like in little batches like so, and then that I think is enough to like signal that this is like a brick house, you know, like so. You just gotta remember to keep the perspective of the bricks a little bit like matching the house, so it's not like this doesn't look like this, right? Where you just looks kind of. And if you want to do like, if you're like really into like this sort of like texturing thing, you can make sure your like bricks are like a little like weird looking. Like some parts just stay the same, but like sometimes like in old houses, sometimes bricks like jut out, so they're not like perfectly smooth. So you'll just have like them be a little like curving outward a little bit at the ends. So like, you know, instead of just like this, they have like a bit of a rougher line, and then it might curve out a little like so. A hobbit hill. That's so cute. Yeah, let's try that. Here I am just like skipping all these like all these like building stuff. Hold on, let me see if I can just quickly like try and do something here. For things like tricky things, like, you know, this part merging into like the other roof, this can be like fun and like kind of difficult, because if I think, you know, human error, right? So sometimes like they'll just look weird to like when you try to like split the shingles here, because I think that is what like builders will just do, where they're just like, well, we can't build this part because it's like a little inconvenient, so we'll just like stop right here. So they might just like have it like really messily like split. But then you can sorry, you can like use the overlap to like show that these are like not they're not clipping together, they're like, you know, just kind of merged. Also gotta remember like things on the corners, like these are like beams or patterns or whatever, that they're like on both sides of the corner. I forget that very often. And our little like bricks. If you have like one trick you can do to like save yourself a bit more time is to either like, you can just have like on like, you know, a very flat or on your like paper or your canvas, just draw a bunch of like textures like so, like maybe a bit nicer than this, and then save it as like its own file. So like, I don't know, like your own file, and then whenever you need like a brick texture, then you'll have that file to like pull out. You can like crop or grab your thing and then just like, you know, skew it into place of whatever house or you know, or like building that you're making, because then, you know, you made this yourself, so this is like, you're just like, you know, repurposing your own work. So, you know, there you go, right? And then you never have to draw like another one again if you don't want to. Something like that. Obviously, might not work with this one, but that's just something you can like keep in mind to do. Just remember like the rooftop here. I'm getting pretty messy, but Just remember there's like, there is a sizable like, you know, underside to this sort of structure for the roof. Sometimes I feel like I forget it as well. But yeah, Hobbit Hill. Oh, they're so cute. I like messy roof shingles as well. I'll probably have to go back and like fix it to make it a little bit more uniform, since they probably shouldn't be that like varying in size, but you know, it's so fun. And then maybe the window here. Remember the window also had like a sizable like form, so like so. This would be a bit smaller. Then they have like a little like windowsill. The thing with buildings is that you just don't want to make sure that the like windows and things like bricks, I guess, don't look just painted on, which can happen if you just end up doing like something like this, right? Like a lot. So if you just go in and add like the extra, like just remember that there's like, you know, like the window has a frame, and then the like I don't remember what these are called, but like the bars, like just remember to like overlap them instead of just drawing like through them, and then that adds like a lot more like polish to your work, I think. Like maybe this has like a cool, like this is some sort of doorway. This has like stairs. Oops. Just remember your, you know, keep in mind like overlaps, things like that are sticking out. Like for this, if they are columns, then they gotta like, with like base, with a base, then the base has to kind of stick out in some way. Well, very like messy, but you know. Oh, this might be a tangent. Snap. Whatever. Oops. Deal that in a second. And then, you know, maybe this one has like a round roof. So cute. I want to make sure that, like, you know, there's a sizable underside here. The shape is still, you know, consistent. Like the roof has its own like little form. Stuff like that. Actually don't know what it looks like at the top. Like, I guess there's like, is there a line? I guess I don't have to figure it out. Then like, you know, maybe there's just this wood texture thing here. I can add the wood texture here as well. Then the door, a door frame, like door frames, doors also have frames, so if you add like that just extra like sort of protrusion, I think it also helps, like, is it doorknob, and then we'll add like wood just so it's not too blending in into like the house. Maybe this like little block for like people to walk in. Something like that, you know? Then chimney. Chimney is like on top. I guess we might see the underside, so I'm just drawing that in. Adding like some bricks. But yeah, okay. Get the idea. Cute house thingy. Hobbit Hill. Chinese style building. Aren't a robot, are you? Hopefully my voice isn't roboting from the like terrible lag. I apologize if it is. Okay, so Hobbit Hill. Whoops. Feel free to ask questions if like, I don't know, if I'm just like going too fast or I'm not explaining things clearly. Sometimes when I draw, I'll just like end up mumbling because I'm like, yeah, the smoke will go like, you know, and then like, oh, the windows are like, yeah, right? Like, and then like I'll finish my thought, like, like I finished it in my head, but not in like out loud. And then, and then it's like it's like, you know, it causes things. Okay, Hobbit Hill. So I took a look at like what the Hobbit's Hill looks like. So cute. I love it. So I don't know if this is actually like Bilbo's house or just like a like a random Hobbit house thing. But I think like the important part is probably the like, it's probably easier than drawing like an actual house because it's like in a hill. So let's see. I feel like for the most part, like you'll just like, you know, draw like this sort of like mound. Or let's see. I guess it does have a little bit of a structure to it. For now, it just seems like this sort of like this is the roof of like the house. It kind of looks like, because it just looks like a regular house if you look at it like straight on, sort of like it's just you like the hill or whatever is like this, and then there's just like a house like so, but we'll see. It has like this cute little like hillside sort of, and then like I think these are stairs. So like I think the base is pretty minimalistic actually. Like if we want to go in and add like more of like the detail that make it look like super cute and stuff, then I'm noticing it has like this like the roof, like the actual roof layer. I turned up my stabilizer because this also helps you like do really long, smooth lines if like, well, it's not helping me right now, but you know, maybe it'll help you. Which I think is pretty good for like when you're drawing with line art and stuff. But for now, I think this is suitable for what we got. And then under like, so this is like the actual roof like form, and then under that they have like these wood pieces. I think that is like the support for like the main flat form of the roof. probably should have drawn these last. And then under that, see, I should have drawn that last. I have to go fix it now. Oops. They have like this little wooden sort of support. Do you have a list of buildings you are planning to draw, or are you just taking suggestions? I'm just taking suggestions. Like, I feel like buildings, like, to be honest, I only draw them when I have to. So if I have like any excuse not to, I won't, which is bad. Yeah. Additionally, I am planning to use 3D more, so I'm like focusing on my priorities are just elsewhere, but you know. So this is like the door, I think. Oh, cute. That is really cute. Oh, I see. Okay. So the door is like something like this. The bottom is a bit cut off, which makes sense. So this is like the frame. This is the door. Adorable. I think there's also like the wood, there's like wood support beams, sort of. The windows are really cute too. I feel like the base part of like, you know, how to draw buildings is basically just, you know, draw a simple shape and then add then spend like the next 40 hours just adding like little details to it to make it look like an actual like building. And like if you guys want like something more like constructional, like with perspective and stuff, we could probably add that to the list, because I also find that stuff interesting, but it is very dry and really heavy. I'm not sure if like it's what people really are going to like stick around for. And it is kind of geometrical. Are drawing buildings similar to drawing rooms inside a house? Yeah, pretty much. Like the way like that helps me when I approach it is like, instead of thinking like, oh my god, it's a big house, it's a building, it's a mansion, I think of it as like either a toy. So like if it's a dollhouse, it's much cuter and easier. Or I just approach it the same way as like drawing a chair, like, or I just pretend like instead of like some haunted mansion on a hill, it's like actually it's like a diorama of a toy mansion, you know, inside like a really like a room. So even if like, you know, oops. And then that helps me like think of it, because then I can kind of infer the perspective, because, you know, instead of something like, oh my god, like this is like scary like mansion house thing like on top of a hill of a castle or something, right? It's like it's kind of hard to like think of like how do I place things. But then if I think of it like, oh, it's like I have like a sky plane, like then it's a bit easier to be like, okay, that means like it will look kind of like, you know, like that, and then the trees will look kind of like this, and then can draw like a use goes. Because I think you don't need 110% perspective to make it look like a building, you know? One other thing that might help you guys is to do like thumbnails if you're trying to do more backgrounds. Because on one hand, like if you do something small like this, you can stretch out your vanishing, your horizon line, your vanishing points really wide. A distortion if they're too close. So, you know, if your vanishing points are here, then you'll notice like it gets pretty like warpy, you know, like if you try to like draw things, it has like that sort of, you know, this sort of like quality to it, right, where things start kind of looking a little interesting, like, you know, that's not actually following the perspective, but you know what I mean, right? Like things start looking a little bit more dramatic, which is what you might want. But like if you use like something like here, and you can, then it kind of starts looking more like a bit normal, you know, like imagine trying to draw like, you know, a house or a building looking like this, like with the little dots on the door, right? Instead of like maybe like this, you know? It just looks a bit more like proper, I guess. It's weird. But like, you know, the point I was trying to make though, which I keep running off into tangents, is that if you make thumbnails, like really small stuff, then you can actually like, you don't even really need to be too constructional with it, because then you'll have like, say, I don't know, you have your huge vanishing point. You don't even need to. You can just be like, your vague, like, this is the ground, right? And it's just so far off that maybe like the horizon line isn't even on the map, right? Like, this is your vague sketch, and then, you know, this is your street view or something. So here's your like, maybe it's like some guy standing on like a roof, right, overlooking the city, and then you can draw like your little or like a cool street, like a cute, you know, those like historical street looking things. So maybe it's something like that, like a storefront, things like that. And there's like, you know, another roof, like maybe like a sign or something. I don't know, something like this, right? And then there's like a road, tiny people in the distance. And then like if you want, you can just take this like this mess of lines and then just, oops, and then just scale it like super big for like your actual like okay, like I'm ready to like get into it, and then you can just like go in and be like, and then you have like pretty somewhat like, you know, like 80% perspective that is like kind of okay, but like it doesn't have to be perfect, right? As long as it like works, because nobody's gonna go in and be like, oh, like dang, like what the heck, this person's like this person's like where's their horizon line, right? Like, so then you can actually just go in and be like, okay, well, it kind of looks like this. And then like, you know, just draw it out, add in your details later, and then like your main thing should be correct. Depends on like, you know, where you want to like end your thing, but like I'm skipping around all over the place, so... But yeah, you know? That's the point anyways that I was trying to make. Hopefully that makes sense. This Hobbit house tends to have like... It's like the grass on it. So cute. No problem. Leaf tiger. Yeah, I really liked House Castle too. I think like architecture can have such like a good way to like show character, I guess. They can have such like personality, and it's so like I think it's cute. It's adorable. Like maybe we'll add like little gardens and stuff. I guess if you must take away one thing is that I feel like drawing buildings is pretty much the same as drawing objects. Perspective-wise and everything, you can think of them as just like a lot of like you're just drawing a big object. Hopefully that makes sense. I know buildings can be a little like difficult to like digest. Oh, and then this Hobbit house has like little bricks here. And like we said, we don't need to draw them all. What else? Then after like fooling around, you can just add like little details, like maybe these bricks. Wood textures are pretty difficult for me to do, to be honest, so I tend to like be a little sparing with them. I feel like I'm better with painting those sorts of things, but not quite drawing yet, so. Yeah, so these things, giving this a bit more form, like, because they do stick out. Oh, I see, okay. Taking a closer look, noticing like the top parts are also a little bit uneven. Like the roof itself is like, they're like big shingles, which is so cute. You can like add more like this sort of like separation. And it doesn't matter if it's too uneven, because, you know, it was built by little hobbit hands, so. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of overlap to these like support beams. Not too much, just like, you know, just to show that they're like, to define like better where like they are, sort of. They are like, I'm gonna color these like the underside of the roof black, just so it's a bit clearer. Because clarity, I think, is the important part when you're drawing. Like, people need to know what these things are. Like, even if they might not know the name, they should be able to tell that, like, you know, this is like some sort of, like that this, like these little square things are not part of like the top of the roof or something. It's definitely shows that it's built with like the assistance of like machinery, you know? I mean, like, I know like these things were built with, this was probably built with machinery as well, but like there's a handcrafted feeling to it that adds a lot of charm, I think. And because like these, like, I think the handcrafted quality adds like so much like cuteness to like, that's kind of why I prefer like drawing these over modern day buildings, since then your imperfections, like your not so straight lines or whatever, also just don't really matter that much. And like, yeah, you know, something like this. Cute little hobbit house. Hopefully that makes sense. Thank you for coming, Skullcat. Thank you, Koa the cat. I don't think I am gonna be doing the grass will probably not be as lovingly well cared, that like, or like the way I'm drawing it at least. Part of the hill, so they're kind of just these like wooden planks. And here's like, I don't know, some bushes. Some of these like bottom areas could also have some like more grass, just to show that it's like a grassy area. Lots of foliage, things like that. Okay, let's see. Just grab this. Thank you. Hopefully, like, I don't know, hopefully I hope this, like, stuff helps when you're, like, to at least break it down when you're, like, approaching your own sort of backgrounds. I didn't really go over, like, drawing, like a background, like a background, like, piece, because, you know, it says how to draw buildings. But if that's something like you guys would be more interested in, then, you know, let us know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a model. That helps though. I feel like making, like, if you haven't, then going into like 3D to like fool around with making models and stuff also really helps. It can help you like just figure out like the structure of it, and then I feel like that helps a lot when you're drawing it. Is 3D modeling hard to learn? I wouldn't say so. Not really. It's like the software. I think that's like kind of annoying because the problem that I run into is that different software has like different shortcuts. So that's like annoying. Because a lot of it is like, because like for example, if you're interested in sculpting like, I guess organic stuff like people, then like you probably want to look at either like Blender or ZBrush, and it can be a little like awkward because before you even like start like sculpting, like we're pulling out all like the things and adding them together, you have to like press all the buttons first, right? Like, you know, it does have really weird shortcuts, which is why like it's always like I always feel like forget how to use them. Additionally, if you do want to do 3D, you need like a mouse. So like not a trackpad, like you, or like just like a tablet pen. You need like an actual mouse because they use like the scroll wheel and things to like even move around and stuff. So that also might like stop people because a lot of people have like, you know, they work on their iPad or they like, you know, for the longest time like they might work on like a laptop. I used to work on a laptop and it was really difficult using 3D on my laptop. Because like it's hard to move, and then so I feel like so far the hardest thing about 3D is not 3D itself, but just fighting the program to be like why didn't, like, you know, I pressed F, why didn't the mode turn on? And it's because of some like, you know, dumb arbitrary reason, like, oh, like make sure that like, you know, that you aren't on like this mode and before you press F, because F only works if you're on this mode, and you're like, ugh, and then you have to go and like, you know, like fix, like turn it on, and then so that's like the issue. But beyond that, like once if you just perseverant, and then then you'll be able to do it, and then it's pretty like, I think it's pretty fun after, because then you'll be like, oh my god, I have all this power. I think it just requires a lot of like practice. So something I think that you'll just kind of do in like, you know, like you work on something for a day and then you're like, okay, I know how to use the software now. It's more like, I think something you'll have to do, like, I feel like the best thing for me at least is like every like week I try to do something in Blender, and then very, very slowly I'm like, okay, I remember that, like, you know, this is how you know, extrude an object, or I remember I have to toggle edit mode on like before I do this, stuff like that. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, muscle memory. But don't be afraid of it. It's pretty... there's a lot of tutorials out there. And so it's fairly like simple to pick up, especially since Blender is like free, which is like the best thing about it. Because Maya, which is what if you guys are interested in like animation industry, and honestly like video game things, like I think most 3D stuff industry wise is like done through Maya. I could be wrong if there's like other things that you guys use, but mostly it's Maya, and Maya is really expensive, so it's kind of a pain to get, to be honest. So that's like the main issue with that. But there's also like if you're not going like if you want to use 3D for like art, but not like drawing, but not necessarily like I don't really want to like model, then you can look up like SketchUp and then figure out how to use that, because that's very much for like supplemental, I think, material. I think it's used for architecture, so you know it's good at building like houses and things, sort of. I think it's still sort of modeling, but not as like intensive. Yeah, I think Blender is doing a pretty good job for like smaller creators, but for most like studios, they use Maya. And Maya itself is like, ugh, it's also annoying to learn. And then at some point, I'm sure like that's basically half the battle. And then you just gotta like figure out things that you want to make. Let's see. You can add more dimension by like making sure these shingles also have like a sort of form to them. You know, not necessary. But I think learning 3D is a pretty good skill set to have. So if you have the chance, you should definitely check it out. Hopefully I can finish this little building thing. Maybe I should use the line tool. Let's see. Yeah. It's also like, you know, it's just like time consuming. So if you're like, you know, something like, I guess, if you're gonna be like an animator, I don't think learning like a 2D animator, I don't think going out of your way to learn Blender is like necessary. And like you should probably work on learning like how to 2D animate, if you know what I mean. It's like that kind of thing that I find troublesome, because I think as artists we want to do everything. Yeah, Blender is pretty good, and I think it gives you a good like you know, like Blender's main point is that it's really accessible. So, and like, you know, knowing Blender is better than knowing nothing, I guess, you know. And Blender is pretty like, it is, you can do really cool things in it. You can like animate in it, you can draw in it, you can like, it is definitely not a like, you know, a lesser program in any respect. I really like it. And like I know some people they use it for you can like open like game models of like in it, so that's some people I know, or like just the point is you can open like models in it. So some people I know will use like they purchased like models of like humans, like anatomy models off like some 3D website, and then they just pose it in Blender to like help to make like references for themselves. So that's also something you guys, you know, can do. Oh no, I'm so sorry. I'll have to figure out what's going on with that. Hopefully the recording doesn't suffer too much. Oh, that's good then. Oops. I feel like I just like there's always something wrong because I stream like not regularly enough, and then like I don't know what it is. Like I don't touch anything, but then like it's always some sort of like issue with tech. Sad. I think I always have like a sneaking suspicion it has something to do with my brother because I live with him, so and he also has like kind of a stream heavy job, so I think he did something recently where he bought like a new like modem or something and like a new internet like Wi-Fi connection thing, and then he kept asking all of us to attach like to use it, and I tried using it but I couldn't like use it. Was really slow. I couldn't really use it at all, and then I was asking like my parents. I was like what gives, right? And then they were like, oh, like your brother's just trying to like siphon off like all the good internet to himself. So we don't actually use the like the new one because it's just too bad, so we're just using the old one. But I think if we all use the old one it becomes laggy anyways, so it's like, do I use like the crappy one that just is like doesn't work very well, or do I use like the old one that works sometimes but then everyone's using it so it lags? So yeah, interesting developments lately. Oh, and I guess like we're out of time for now, so that passed by quicker than I thought. Well, so thanks for coming, guys. Hopefully this was somewhat helpful and it made buildings a little less daunting for you guys. Remember, we're not just like an art channel, we're an art school too. You can help support us on like Patreon and all our like video socials and stuff, and we have like classes where you can get assignments, individual guidance, and real-time feedback on your artwork. So if you're interested, go check them out. And of course, if there's something you want to like learn, you can check out the videos in our other in our video library, like our our YouTube channel, and just like see if it's there. If it's not, feel free to drop a comment and we will take it in mind. So yeah, hope you guys are having a good time, like summer. Is it summer yet? I hope you guys are having a good time regardless, and have a nice rest of your day. Goodbye. Thank you for coming. Oh yeah, we have a Discord.